Crosshairs themselves might not play the biggest role in your performance in game, but keeping the game looking fresh and having a crosshair you feel comfortable with can help you immensely. So now that Riot allows us to save multiple, let's get you guys 10 of the best pro crosshairs that you should definitely try out, and perhaps even use in your games. What is going on, ProGuides family? It is your host Sergeant Frost, and I'm not sure about you guys, but I'm so excited for this new patch straight from Riot. We're now allowed to set up 10 crosshair profiles that you can instantly switch to and save whenever you desire. I've already gone and set up mine, but you probably haven't. So today we'll give you 10 of the best ones. Having a couple solid crosshairs that you like for different situations can do wonders for your aim. So make sure you pay close attention and pause the video to save any crosshairs you might like. We've also got timestamps and sections if you have any you're particularly interested in, so feel free to jump around. The first crosshair we simply have to talk about is of course TENZ's. His crosshair is a classic that many people use, so if you don't have it saved or you haven't used it before, then you're in for a pleasant experience. What we're talking about here is the 1-4-2-2 Cyan crosshair. TENZ has a crosshair that's highly versatile and used by many. It's quite bland, but in a good way. You'll never feel like this crosshair is hindering you from doing anything, and it's essentially a jack of all trades. To set it up, simply set your crosshair color to Cyan outlines off. Like most pro crosshairs, the outer lines are completely off, and just set inner lines to 1-4-2-2. For people who aren't familiar with this format, this means opacity is set to 1, size is set to 4, thickness set to 2, and offset set to 2 as well. Also, make sure both movement error and firing error are set to off. Although lately, TENZ has been talking about experimenting with the new improved firing error options, so we'll have to see. Next up, you know we have to mention the headshot machine himself, Scream. Scream is similar to TENZ in many ways. They're both crazy aimers, and they are big stars for their respective teams. And also, both have a great ProGuides course over on our website. Anyways, Scream uses a dot crosshair, which is a great crosshair to accentuate his insane aim. Now, I know that dot crosshairs are pretty simple and easy, but let's be honest. Do you want a random dot crosshair, or do you want Scream's dot crosshair? Exactly. Outlines are set on with 1s on both options. For center dot, set it to on, then 1-3. His inner lines are off, so it's just a nice little square crosshair. Smaller crosshairs are great for precision aiming, but be careful with spraying and big adjustments, because it's very easy to lose focus and lose track of the crosshair's movement. Scream is pretty well known for his aim, so he has the skills to control it as well. But it's definitely a great crosshair for those who are confident in their mechanical aim. And if you're not confident yet with your aim, no worries, we can help you out. On our website ProGuides.com, we have Radiant and Immortal level coaches who are eager to help build you into a star player. Whether it be through aim training, agent specifics, or map specifics, whatever you need help with, our coaches are there. And each session is individually tailored to best suit your needs. So if improving quickly and efficiently sounds interesting to you, then we encourage you to check us out. Another really hype player coming in hot to the pro circuit is Ye. He was previously on Anbox and just recently signed to Envy. He's an insane rifler and he's been a force to be reckoned with in Ranked, where he has reached rank 1 on numerous occasions. But that pales in comparison to how he performs in pro play against the best of the best, where he still has been consistently dominating. Obviously, as with all pro players, his skill doesn't come from years and years of dedication and hard work, but instead his crosshair. So what is his? He uses a 1-3-2-2 crosshair with outlines on and colored red. It might seem similar to the classic 1-4-2-2 crosshair, but the feel of it is quite different, and is definitely worth testing out. The different color of red makes it so that it stands out a lot more, and thus it can get away with being a bit smaller. Smaller also means that for many it's a lot better for tapping and small bursts, so pistol rounds and Vandal enthusiasts will benefit a lot from these. But it's not small like a dot, so holding angles and adjustments still feel natural and controlled. Well, it's time for our question of the day. Today's question is, what is your favorite crosshair? Whether it's the crosshair you're currently using, or one of your old personal favorites that you've always seemed to come back to, we all have a crosshair that just feels so good when using. Mine personally is CNED's, which I'll head into next, but let us know what yours is in the comments below. Either way, let's get back to the video. The next crosshair on this list belongs to the crazy European jet player CNED. Although he and his team did manage to make it to VCT Iceland, people already talked about him potentially being the best jet player in the entire world. Of course, we can't be certain until we see him on the big stage, hopefully in Berlin, competing against the likes of TENZ, but it's still a testament to how good he is as a player to be on the radar regardless. His crosshair features a white cross, made by turning off outlines and setting inner lines to 1-4-2-0. What this leaves you with is a nice and clean white cross. That, at least in my opinion, is the best crosshair I've ever seen. It's nice, it's simple, it's clean. Oh, and it gives you aimbot. If you haven't already, make sure to give this crosshair a try, because it's really a nice crosshair to game with. Speaking of crosshairs that give you aimbot, ASUNA is no stranger to making some crazy highlight plays that borderline feel like he has aimbot to pull it off. That's why we gotta cover his crosshair as well. His white crosshair has inner lines 1-2-1-3 with outlines on and opacity and thickness set to 1. This allows his crosshair to feel nice and open, giving it a great feel for locking it on the head at close to mid-ranges. Although it has little substance, the crosshair itself is great for one-tapping, spraying, and holding angles as well, mostly because it has enough space at the edges to lead you. One warning I will give you though, if you are a really passive player that likes to hold especially long-range angles, the gap can quickly feel a bit too large to aim comfortably. But if you're like ASUNA, and you like to get in people's faces with an aggressive playstyle, then look no further. Now that I've mentioned ASUNA's, I have to go over to SUBROZA's crosshair, since they do share some similarities. SUBROZA rocks the same 1-2-1-3 inner lines that ASUNA does, but there's two key differences. First, SUBROZA doesn't have his outline opacity on 1, but instead on 0.715. This might not sound like a big change, but if you take a closer look when changing between both options, you can tell that 0.715 seems to give more of an even outline, and a more well-rounded look. And secondly, he uses the color red instead of white. These two changes together give the crosshair a completely different feel. ASUNA has one of those crosshairs that you might need to focus on to aim with, while SUBROZA's crosshair is always present in your vision. Even if you don't look at it directly all the time, you'll always feel in touch with the crosshair's movement. It definitely frees up your eyes to focus a little less at the crosshair itself and more on what's around it, which can help your awareness in game. If you don't believe me, test it out and note the difference. The next player that we will cover is Team Heretic's Valorant. Did you know that he has a headshot percentage that's even higher than Scream? In the past 2 months, 42% of his shots were headshots, and Scream, commonly known as the headshot machine, only had 36. Now that's a testament to his incredible aim. Valorant is one of those players that likes to switch up his crosshair a lot, which you can see both on his occasional stream and highlight videos. But his main crosshair is of course a nice clean dot, as we'd expect of a head shooter of his caliber. The dot he goes with is usually a red one, with outlines on. His center dot is set to 1-2, which is slightly smaller than Scream's dot crosshair, which also means you have to focus up really hard when working with this. But if you're chasing the title of the best aimer in the world, maybe focusing up is the least of your worries. So if you're trying to go hard in the paint, this crosshair is for you. Of course, we also have to talk about Fnatic's star player and the third highest rated player for Iceland, only after Scream and TENZ, Fnatic DERKE. DERKE is an exciting jet player to watch, but he also currently has one of the most standard looking crosshairs. At the moment, he's testing out a cyan crosshair with 1-6-2-3 inner lines, and a simple 1-1 outline, which is easily one of the bigger crosshairs currently used by top pros. Interestingly enough, before that, he was actually running an extremely small cyan crosshair of 1-2-1-1, with low opacity outlines of about 0.35. Both are definitely very interesting and have very different feels to them. But if DERKE can make magic happen with both, then you know that both are great crosshairs to try out for yourself. If we're looking at the top performers of Iceland, we of course can't forget about SHAHZAM, who was in 4th place, all while IGLing the best team in the world. If you know how taxing the role of an IGL is on your focus and aim, then you would understand just how amazing SHAHZAM must be to perform while calling for his team. That's why his crosshair is one that's on the bigger end, and requires a little less focus on the crosshair to properly use. The crosshair he currently has is green. It has inner lines of 1-5-2-3 with an outline of 0.5 opacity. This one looks like a standard beginner crosshair from a game like CSGO, but it definitely gets the job done, and also takes a bit less focus to control smoothly. But don't get me wrong, SHAHZAM is still an insane aimer even though he uses this crosshair. And if you don't believe me, just watch him destroy the ranked ladder on stream, all while talking to chat and cracking jokes with his teammates. Finally, we've got everyone's favorite boomer, HIKO. HIKO is one of those players that simply just has more experience that he doesn't even need a real crosshair. He showed this hilarious crosshair on stream and honestly, it's just too funny. So meet the Instagram crosshair. Pick whatever color you like, although HIKO himself used cyan. Enable your center dot and set it to 1-1. Inner lines on at 1-1-4-2. And lastly, also outer lines on at 1-1-10-5. You'll be left with something that may not be super competitively viable, but will leave your teammates questioning what the heck is happening. And at least to me, that's worth. Occasionally though, perhaps when he's playing a tournament, even HIKO will go for a crosshair a bit more serious. And that's where he reps this Counter-Strike classic, showing his roots. The crosshair color he goes for is then green, combined with 1-1 outlines, and a 1-1 dot. His inner line settings are on 1-2-1-0 with firing error set to on. This leaves him with a nice clean crosshair that's both great for pistols and rifles, and it even moves when you spray. One quick note, if you want the gap to remain consistent even with firing error, which many pros have been asking for, turn on the new setting of override firing error offset with crosshair offset, and set your inner lines offset to 3 instead of 0. It's definitely personal preference though. And that wraps up our 10 pro crosshairs that you have to try out. So make sure to save all the crosshairs mentioned and give them a shot. Let us know how it goes, and also any other crosshairs that you think are aimbot worthy. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of this, make sure to drop us a like and subscribe to keep up to date with our daily uploads. Don't forget to check out ProGuides.com and perhaps even use your free trial to watch some of our great pro courses by players like TENZ and Scream. This has been your host Sergeant Frost, and good luck on the grind.